Sam Christie, an American, and Philip Latak, a native from a province of Ifugao, working in the same office at an agency in Manila. Philip is Sam's assistant, and they are good friends. One day, Philip receives a message that his aging grandfather back home has fallen sick and that Philip needs to go home to see him. It happens that it's also Sam's last month in the Philippines before he heads home to the United States for a much-needed vacation leave. So he decides to tag along with Philip for the trip to Ifugao. He also planned on buying an Ifugao god as a souvenir to take back home.
The bus station was actually a narrow side street which sloped down to a deserted plaza, one of the many in the summer capital. Sam could make out the shape of stone buildings, it seems in the cold, their narrow windows shattered and the frames advertising Coca-Cola above their doorways indistinct in the dark. And finally, after a few minutes of waiting, the bus finally came. They got inside and after a few minutes the bus started and left. The bus shuddered into first gear as it dipped down the gravel road in a while they were in the town. Along its main street lined with wooden frame houses, it conformed with the usual small town arrangement and was properly palisaded with stores, whose front were plastered with entities of soft drinks and patent medicine signs, and in the store were a crowd of people heavily jeweled Ifugaos in G-string and tattered western coat that must have reached them in relief packages from the United States. The woman wore the native gay blouses and skirt. The two travelers got down from the bus and walked to one of the bigger houses, a shapeless wooden building with rusting tin roof and cheap printed curtains. It was a boarding house and a small curious store was on the ground floor, together with the usual merchandise of the country shops. Canned sardines and squid, milk, soap, matches, kerosene, a few boats and wine. The landlady, an acquaintance of Philip Latak, assigned them a bare room, which overlooked the creek and the mountain terrace to the very summit.
We could stay in my brother's place, but there is no plumbing.
Past noon, after a plentiful lunch of fried Highland rice and venison, they headed for the footpath that broke from the street and disappeared behind a turn of hillside. The walk of Philip Latak's village itself was not far from the town, and wherever they turned, the terraces were sheets of mirror that dogged them. The village was no more than 10 houses in valley, which were no different from the other Ifugao homes. They stood on stilts and all their four posts were crowned with circular rat guard. A lone house roof with tin stood at one end of the village.
That's my brother's house.
Shall I bring the candies out now?
You have decided to visit us after all. I thought the city had won you so completely. You have forgotten this humble place and its humble people. I must apologize, ma'am, for my brother, for bringing you to this poor house. This did embarrass us.
We work in the same office.
I know, ma'am.
You see, Sam, my brother dislikes me, like my grandfather. He feels that I shouldn't have left this place, that I should rot here. Hell, everyone knows the terraces are good for the eye, but they can produce enough for the stomach.
That's not a nice thing to say.
But it's true. My brother dislikes me. All of them here dislikes me. They think that by living in Manila for a few years, I have forgotten what is to be an Ifugao. I can help it, Sam. I like it down there.
Grandfather had a high fever, and we all thought the end was near. I didn't want to bother you, but the old man said you should come. He is no longer angry with you for leading if you pig. He has forgiven you.
There's nothing to forgive. My brother. But if he wants to, he can show his forgiveness by opening his wine jar. Is he drinking still?
He has abandoned this jar for some time now, but now that you are here, he will drink again.
Then the children started stealing in. 5 of them with grim on their faces, their feet caked with mud. Philip bent down and tossed a fistful of candy at his nephews and nieces. They did not move. They hedged closer to one another, their brows, their simple faces empty of recognition. Of that simple spark that would tell him, Ipig, that he belonged here. He spoke in the native tongue, but that did not help either. The children held their scrunchy hand behind them and stepped back until their backs were pressed against the wall.
Hell, you are all my relatives, aren't you? Give it to them. Maybe they like you better.
With open palm brimming with the tinsel-wrapped sweets, Sam strode to the oldest, to Philip's namesake, and tousled the younger's black, matte hair. He knelt, pinched the cheek of the dirty child next to the oldest and placed a candy in his small hand. In another moment, it was all noise, the children scrambling over the young American and about the floor where the candy had spilled.
Now that even your relatives do not know you, Ipig, you have our tongue, you have our blood, but you are a stranger nevertheless.
See what I mean, Sam? Well, he will recognize and I won't be strangers to him. Come, let us see the old man.
I'm glad you came back. I'm happy to see you. We should celebrate.
Thank you. By the way, can I know where to get an Ifugao?
I don't know.
It was for my Americano friend.
What? No, don't bother me with an Americano.
What happened?
I had asked him where we could get a gun, and he said he didn't know. And when I told him it was for an American friend, he got mad. He never liked stranger. Sam, he said they took everything away from him. Tranquility. Me? Hell, you can't do anything to an old man, Sam. We shouldn't have bothered with him at all. Now, tell me, have I spoiled your first day here?
The old man want a feast tomorrow night. My Benvenida, of course. You will be a damn fool if you don't go.
I'm thinking about you. You shouldn't come. It will be a bore and a ghastly sight.
But Sam Christie's interest have been piqued, and even when he realized that Philip Latak really did not want him to come, he decided that this one was party he would not miss. They had finished lunch and were in the living room of the mission, sipping coffee while Philip Latak was in the kitchen, where he had gone to joke with old friends. Sam's knowledge of San Francisco was limited to a drizzly afternoon at the airport, an iron cold rain and a nasty wind that crept under the top coat, clammy and gripping, and he kept quiet while Reverend Doom reminisced. The missionary was a short man with a bulbous nose and heavy brows and homesickness written all over his pallid face.
You must understand their religion, and if you understand it, then you know why it's difficult to get with God. Then you know why the Ifugaos are so attached to it. It's a religion based on this fear, retribution. Every calamity or every luck which happens to them is based on this belief. A good harvest means the gods are pleased. A bad one means they are angered.
It's not different from Christianity then. Christianity is based on fear, to fear of hell and final judgment.
Christianity is based on love. That's the difference. You are the agency and you should know the significance of this distinction. Besides, Christianity is based on this belief that man has a soul and that soul is eternal.
What happens when a man loses his soul?
I wish I could answer that. All I can say is that a man without a soul is nothing. A prick in the side that lives only for food, without a soul.
Does the Ifugao believe in a soul?
He's God. He believes in them.
Can a man lose his soul?
You have seen examples. In the city, people are corrupted by easy living, the pleasures of senses and the flesh, the mass corruption that is seeping into the government and everything. A generation of soulless men is growing up and dictating the future.
How can one who loses his soul regain it? It takes catalysm, something tragic to knock a man back to his rest, to make him realize his loss. They are all human beings, but look what is in this mountain. Black country, it is poor. Let there be no doubt about it. They don't make enough to eat, but there is less greed here and pettiness here. They are no land, robbers, no scandals.
Going down the hill, Sam decided to pair his mind to Philip, who was below him. Teetering to the sleepy trail, he said with finality,
Bill, I must not leave Ifugao without that cut. It's more than just a souvenir. It will remind me of you of this place. The samurai sword, you should have seen the place where I got it, and the people I had to deal with it to get it. It's not just some souvenir, mind you. It belonged to a soldier who had fought in the South Pacific and had managed somehow to save the thing when he was made prisoner. But his daughter, it's a sad story. She had to go to college. She was majoring English and she didn't have tuition money.
We will be luckier tomorrow. I know. You have your God. Sam, there's a way. I can steal one for you.
You can't do that. That's not fair. And what will happen to you or to the man whose God you will steal?
Lads, if you believe the trust, I'll be afflicted with pain. Same with the owner, but he can always make another. It's not so difficult to carve a new one. I tried it when I was young, before I went to the mission.
You cannot steal a God, not even for me.
Let's not be bullheaded about this. It's the least I can do for you. You made this vacation possible and that race. Do you know that I have been with the agency for 4 years and I never got a raise until you came?
You had it coming. It's that simple.
You'll have your God.
The old man really looked ancient, and in the light of the stove fire that lived and died at one end of one room house, Sam could see the careworn face, stricken and smiley. Sam took in everything. The hollow cheeks, the white scraggly hair, the horned hands and the big bone. The patriarch was half naked like the other Ifugaos, but his loincloth had dealt with circular bone embellishments and around his neck dangled a necklace of prawns. To Sam, the old man extended a bowl of rice wine and Sam took it and lifted it to his lips, savored the gentle tang and acridness of it. Someone called at the door and passed to them a wooden bowl of flat. Philip Latak picked it up and gave it to the old man, who was kneeling. Slowly, piously, the old man poured the living, frothy blood on the idol's head and the blood washed down the ugly head to its arm and legs. This very feat, and as he poured the blood, in his crackled voice he recited a prayer.
After the ritual at the old man's house, Sam and Philip joined in on the festivities. Sam soon gets bored and decided to leave the party early and go to sleep. Past midnight, he wakes up to Philip coming home, drunk and carrying an Ifugao god.
I told you, you get it.
You shouldn't have done it.
No, you don't have to worry. No one saw me.
You'll be waking everyone up. Go to bed now, and we will talk in the morning.
He will be surprised.
You're lucky to have someone who loves you so much. And you did him so wrong.
He did himself wrong. He was wrong for being attached to me, who no longer believes in these idols.
It's a miserable thing to do. Take it back tomorrow.
I won't.
Sam wakes up the next morning to see Philip hastily leaving to get back to the village. His grandfather had collapsed due to heart attack and is dying. The next day, Sam is visited by Philip's older brother Sadek, and is informed by him that their grandfather has passed away, and that the cause of his death was the loss of his Ifugao god. Sadek also informs Sam that Philip isn't going back to Manila. Sam decides to visit Philip at the old man's house, but Philip meets him with anger and gloating. An argument ensues.
Bill!
I'm not going back to Manila. I shouldn't have done it. It's your fault because you're always curious and determined. I killed him who loved me the most.
Don't blame me, Bill. I told you. I didn't want to steal it.
You're not my friend.
We are friends.
Leave me alone, Sam.